Prologue. An all too gloomy church. Bread and wine. Terra of the left. He was in St. Peter's Square, an elliptical plaza 240 meters in width. A water fountain stood a little to the side of its center. Terra was lying on his back against the fountain's edge, silently looking upon the starry sky. In the sparsely lit plaza, his face was unseen. Only his silhouette was wrapped up by the gentle darkness and served as a kind of a veil. A soft glub sound echoed. It was not from the water fountain. Held in Terra's right hand was a glass bottle containing cheap red wine. While neglecting the use of a drinking glass every time he brought the bottle to his mouth, the alcohol within made waves along with the soft sound. However, an alcoholic restlessness could not be felt in Terra's body. If one plainly saw Terra's face during the day, they would have thought they saw a homely, alcohol-laden man, similar to that who had a face because of excessive overwork. "Drinking again, Terra?" The low voice of a man was heard. Terra, still lying down on the water fountain's edge, turned his face towards the source. Standing there was a fellow member of God's right seat, Aqua of the back. He was a man clad in blue golfing wear. Beside Aqua was an old man dressed in magnificent vestments. The Pope. He should be the most powerful in the Vatican, but with two God's right seat members gathered, some mysterious presence was hiding among them. Terra wiped off the drooling red liquid from his lips with his hand. "This is my replenishment for now, for the blood of Christ." "Bread and wine? The structure for a mass?" "My angel Raphael represents Earth, so partaking in the Earth's harvest and blessings to replenish my strength is quick and easy." Though meant to be a serious response, both Aqua and the Pope sighed. Their glances fell upon Terra's feet. There were emptied bottles scattered about. Looking at the labels stuck on the bottles, Aqua said as he shook his head, "Cheap wine, not even worth considering in tourist rip-off stores. For you to use the name of God's right seat, you should be collecting better brands." "Please stop it. I can't understand the flavors of those alcohols. Those are mere tools for ceremonial use, and talking about luxuries is impolite to a true drunkard." Hearing Aqua and Terra's exchange, the Pope interjected. "As a shepherd for the followers, I wish to refrain from blatant drinking." "Dear me, getting reprimanded is rare," Terra laughed in a low voice. "For my part, I was bound by necessity as part of the service. But then it seems someone knows quite a bit about alcohol brands and a flavor for a person not bound like me. Right, Aqua?" Glared at by the Pope, Aqua fell back a bit. Unlike the other members, for some reason, he was the only one who did not disrespect the Pope. "A corrupt mercenary's tastes. That, too, is necessary in the battlefield." "So Aqua's a hoodlum, eh? I can now say we're the bad kids different from the pious believers." The Pope grimaced at Terra's light-hearted comment. He was likely wishing that he did not work with these ilk. Then the Pope surveyed the great plaza that could hold 300,000 people. "But then I, the Pope, and you two of God's right seat are gathered out in the open without a decent guard. Perhaps we should head inside for our meeting. The guards would have frothed mouths if they saw what we were doing." "We're fine here. The spiritual binding effects of the Croce di Pietro still hold." As Terra drank the wine, he looked up at the night sky. "The unpleasant skies are spreading out, countless barriers colliding and conflicting as they float like auroras. Magically shooting through these barriers would be difficult. From the start, if one not bound by limits could unravel the system of every magic, calculating workarounds and countermeasures was possible. That compilation was the grimoire collection known as the Index Librorum Prohibitorum that the Anglican Church was so proud of. It was too important on the battlefield. However, as the result of multiple barriers protecting the entire country in a complicated union with over 90% of the Vatican structures possessing Christian significance, only the Index could analyze them. Not even the supreme leader, the Pope, could fully understand them. Even if they spent a long time cracking the complicated codes, if the patterns and the passwords changed every second, the old solution would completely lose its significance. Far from keyhole-shaped, even the numbers changed, so master keys could not be made. Because it was impossible for anyone, including the Pope, to exhibit clear control over them, the multiple barriers surrounding the Vatican had so far rejected all types of analytical magic. "Well then," said Terra. He placed the emptied wine bottle on the fountain's edge. The cheap wine he brought into sacred ground was, for now, finished. Terra slowly arose, and he lightly stretched his back. "The replenishment for the blood of Christ is over. It is nearly time for me to go." Upon hearing those words, Aqua slightly raised his eyebrows. "You're going to use it?" Terra lightly smiled. He likely understood it from the tone. Feelings of bitterness arose within Aqua. "You're complaining about using civilians, Aqua?" "If it's killing one another, it's better to leave it to soldiers." "An aristocratic opinion. However," Terra pleasantly widened his smile, "for us, the Roman Catholic Church, numbers are our greatest strength. 2 billion people is a huge advantage. To be especially unwilling to use this is unnatural. Academy City's total population is 2.3 million. Surely a literal difference in numbers in this case." "War is decided by the quantity of goods and people, eh? How uncivilized. It feels like I'm witnessing ancient warfare here." "It's really the simple answer. It is something that has remained unchanged since antiquity," Terra said, looking up at the barrier-covered night sky. He should have been drunk on alcohol, but his manner had not changed at all. "We, God's right seat, are imperfect, but through this mystique we lead the people." He widely spread both his arms, stood on one foot, quickly turned around towards Aqua, and continued. "And with that, let us lead the frightened lambs as we please. I am the shepherd. They will be like the children who disappeared while enthralled by the flute." The low voice of a man was heard. That compilation was the grimoire collection known as the Index Librorum Prohibitorum that the Anglican Church was so proud of.